Good morning to friends in the US. Good evening to our friends in India, elsewhere.
Good morning.
We'll go ahead and get started today. I'm going to share my screen. Do you see this in full screen? Yes?
Yes, sir. We are
Excellent.
able to see.
Yes.
So the slide is the full screen, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Very good, very good. So we have this as a advanced follow-up series to follow with what we did in June and July for Heartful Living clinics. We'll be covering mostly the similar content in the sense the topics will be more or less parallel, but we'll try to go much more deeper into how we can internalize these concepts. So for what I've done in the last 5 years is already available as the June and July recordings. So I don't know how much value there will be to repeating it frequently in a year. That's why I thought we should do this slightly differently. So that's what today we are starting. Many of you I could not email earlier. I just realized the full list of June, July participants, we were able to reach out only, I think, a few hours ago. So some may hopefully join by our next session, which is in 2 weeks. So today we'll just discuss about the outline of the program, and hopefully we'll hear some patient experiences. Next session, we'll focus more on exercise and how to have more internalized fun with that. And third session will be about a lot of mindfulness practices. Then we'll discuss going back to patient challenges and how fasting can help us in these COVID times, and then putting all these things together. So this will be the outline of what we will do in October and November. Disclosure, I'm sure you all know HiLife Journey, which has an option for all of us to enroll and share how we are participating on a day-to-day basis. Can be like a diary for yourself and for the program to monitor and see how improvement is happening at the individual level. And at the same time, all these lectures that we are trying to incorporate, we are trying to make it available through this portal. So this is what I think should be our priority, at least for October sessions. First, we will open it up for patient, friends, participants, their families, their questions and concerns. I think that is the most important thing for these type of sessions where we offer the actual June, July recordings for everyone to view in YouTube, and then we meet here. So the next thing will be if people can bring their personal stories, how they've done with their challenges and what they've succeeded in doing as far as mindfulness practices, self-inquiry, fasting, exercise, how they are doing altruism, and then what we can do in the next week, the next few days. Today, what we can work on a practical basis. And lastly, I bring a few slides, but this is not going to be a didactic session where I present for half an hour. Hopefully, my presentation will only last the last 15 minutes, and we should all be able to wrap up within the next 30-40 minutes altogether. So that is the hope for today. With that, we will actually open it up for you to ask questions first about whatever you viewed either in the live or in the recorded sessions over the last few months. I'm going to request you to mute your mic unless you are going to use it. Otherwise, we are hearing some noise. But we'll open it up now for your questions first and see what challenges you are having. Nobody has any concerns, no issues. Okay, that's good. I guess we need some more encouragement to open up for discussion. But what about people who already tried some of our tools to help health and better cardiovascular fitness? Whatever real life experiences you have, we would definitely love to hear them if you are able to share it with our group today.
Doctor, can I go in first? This is Jayashree Rajan from India. I attended your earlier session one. It's brought a lot of good positive changes in me is what I personally feel. I am continuing the intermittent fasting. I do 14 hours to 15 hours a day. I've also successfully done my 24-hour fasting once a week. I think maybe I would have skipped 1 week in between. That's all. But otherwise, I think I'm able to do it well. Personally, I feel very light and more energetic all through the day. That's definitely a change which I noticed. I also recollect you speaking about altruism, but I really don't know how to practice in day-to-day life in India. You know, it's different here. So I mean, you try to be nice to even unknown people. It's all there. Try to help people, whatever you can do. But to consciously to put into practice every day is definitely a challenge for me. But the other three aspects of meditation, self time for yourself, and 30 minutes of exercise plus intermittent fasting, I think it's very much doable. It needs to take your mindset and your commitment to it, right? And at the end of it you feel great. So I never felt any challenge in that except for altruism is something which I'm not able to really do it. That's from my
Amazing. Amazing. Why don't you give us a little bit more of introduction to people who are meeting you first time so that they'll know your background and who you are and what issues you had before. Some more, if you can tell us about how you came
okay.
about to this program, and that will give us more background to your story.
Okay, I'm my name is Jayashree Rajan. I'm from India and I'm a banker by profession, so a full-time banker. I came to know about Dr. Anand's program through one of my friends, Maya Sham. So I thought no harm attending. In fact, I missed your first session that time, and then I just continued from the second session. Maybe I'm in my 50s, so 50s, and I have all kind of hormonal changes in me, and I always used to feel eternally tired, stressed, or what do you say, exhausted rather. And and weight was also a challenge, right? So um, then I thought, why not try it out? And I was anti-fasting. As I said, my first time in my life I ever attempted a fasting in my 50 years is only after Dr. Anand's session. I've never even attempted. I've always disputed the fact that fasting will not help. And even for religious reasons in India, we do have reasons, very religious reasons, special days, they say fast and it's good. I never believed in this, but I thought, why not give it a try? I was with a very open mind, but it really helped me. I do find physically a lot of changes. I think I've lost weight as well. Almost, I think from July till now, I would have lost around 6 kilos, but that's like over a period of time. I never felt that I'm losing weight unless somebody told me and then I checked it out. I did it more from an angle of feeling more energetic and not to succumb to exhaustion, right? So those are the things. Like I never, as I told doctor the last time also, I've still not checked my cholesterol. Sorry, I'll do it soon. So I've not done any medical checkup, but definitely I feel very energetic, very positive, and more than anything, I think Dr. Anand, whatever you've said, it's all very much doable and it's simple. It is not complicated. It does not need any kind of drastic lifetime changes or something like that. Nothing like that. So I don't think you're given us any restrictions at all except for the fasting period, and which is very much doable. Dinner at 9 and next day till 11 is not a great thing at all. It's very much feasible. So wonderful. I think it also gave me an insight to meditation as well as silence. I think that makes a lot of you tend to introspect yourself. Like last time, I think when I spoke to you, you said don't stop your thoughts. Whatever thoughts come and go, just allow them. You also told me we are not trying to turn you into a yogi or to renounce the world or something. So it's wonderful. So it's really nice. It refreshes you in the morning. I think morning I'm quite fresh to work these days, like because one, I feel light, then exercise and meditation makes a lot of difference these days. So wonderful, doctor. I feel physically more fit, more energetic. And I think that's a big difference and positive. I think, this has taught me that anything is possible. You can do it if you apply to a mind to it. That kind of positivity is something which is really wonderful. Thank you so much.
I'm so glad that this has been your experience. See, that is the value that you are able to share with our entire community today. And this is being recorded. So people later on, when they come and view this program, they will realize this is not a cardiologist sitting in Columbia, Missouri, trying to preach. This is real people trying to cope and trying to deal with all the challenges, including the COVID. 2020 is such a challenging year for everybody. Despite that, in the last 5 to 10 minutes that you've spoken, that smile never left your face. I'm so happy that you are engaging in this program. And I'll tell you my sincere most hope. That is, you would not, after a few more months, need HiLife at all. You will not even need any of these, what should I say, refresher or advanced sessions. This will be who you are. At that point, there is no need to recollect any of these sessions from 2020 because it becomes your real everyday, every moment experience. Already you're there. So that will be more cemented when you find that you're using this energy productively. You found much more energy than you had, say, a year ago or 6 months ago. That energy, really? You will, what should I say? You will find that circle gets completed when you find that energy is being utilized to your optimal potential. That is where that altruism may help fix it. You don't have to go and donate some food or charity money or anything. Just when you smile at somebody and greet them positively, that itself is altruism, compassion. That's all it is. I'm sure you're doing it throughout life, but in this last 6 months, once you start fasting, once you start exercising, once you connect with that energy, that will become even more natural to you. So as a person presenting a slideshow and requesting certain steps, I have to put it out as one more step. But in reality, it is part of who we are. That is how it will become. So,
thank you, doctor.
I'm so glad that you are able to share your experience with us. Thanks so much. So I'm going to ask you a question. If you are getting hungry in that fasting period, how do you cope with that?
No, ideally, I think that was the very initial part of it when we was thinking about it. But now I'm comfortable. As late as today, I decided to go on 24-hour fasting. I sat with my colleagues in the lunch table and I was not even craving for food. But as you said, that gratitude, you're so happy when you see food. Earlier, you never used to feel like that. It was more like a routine. Okay, it's 8 o'clock, have breakfast, 1 o'clock, have lunch. It's like that. But now you really look forward to the time, even you respect food more. That's what I feel, right? You do that. And during hunger, maybe one is water with, I think I am used to taking water with jeera and turmeric, doctor. So a little. So it is not a concentrated water. So I just have only water. I'm not used to much coffee or tea initially itself. So it was not a big thing for me to give up that 1 cup of coffee, which I used to have it in the morning being South Indian. That's all, nothing else. But when hunger is there, one is water. The other two is I try to involve myself. Morning is the time, prior work is when you have time to think also to feel hungry. But that time I either do the meditation, I go for my walk and exercise. So I keep myself occupied, distracted, and I don't think about hunger. And now I think I've crossed the stage. Even if I see videos relating to food or see food in the kitchen when I cook for others, it does not tempt me. I'm not tempted to, or crave for it or say that, wow, because I always know that a couple of hours later I can have, my own share of food.
Amazing. Amazing. Thanks for sharing that, Jayesh.
Dr. Chalkalingam, this is Candy. I'm listed as Camellia Fincher, but it's Candy. I've been doing this off and on a little bit. I'm 65 and terribly obese, so this is a new experience for me. I am currently, this morning, I am in a 15-hour fast, I believe, right now, and plan to try to go all the way to 24 hours at 5 o'clock this afternoon here. And so I have just a couple of questions. And one of the first questions is, after I fast and then I go back and eat, I my blood sugar. At one point in time, I was considered pre-diabetic and diabetic. I was on medications, but I came off the medications by my diet. And so I have all the testing supplies. I test after I come off of a fast. My blood sugar will be, after I eat, it will range to 160 to 170, and that's eating no carbs. Is that normal?
So you are testing your sugar at the end of the fast and finding it to be 160?
No, after I eat. When
After you
I
eat.
break the fast and then I test like maybe an hour, 2 hours later,
Sure.
it's running that high. Is that
That's
normal?
called the postprandial glucose level. And that is acceptable. That's not a problem. What is your fasting sugar like? Have you just that?
When I do it right, because I still eat carbs sometimes. When I eat carbs, sugar goes up immediate. There's
No, before you eat, in the morning, what is your sugar level?
It can be like 130, 140.
And did your doctor ask you to give up all your diabetic medications despite these numbers?
He said that's actually good. As far as for my age and that type of thing, they look at it that it's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can tell you.
See, what I've seen and recommended to many of my patients is to continue checking sugars until we are able to come within the normal range. Normal range, to say diabetic, if the sugar is over 120 fasting, we are concerned that people are diabetic. If it is below 100 fasting level, that means it's not even in the pre-diabetic range. That is the safest range we can get into. And postprandial also, if we can keep it below 150, it will be ideal. Hemoglobin A1C, to reduce long-term problems, it should be below 7.
Yeah,
you,
my
the guess is it will be
A1C
about
is 5.5 this last, and that was 2 weeks ago.
how
3
much
weeks.
was it?
5.5.
Wow, that's amazing. If it is 5.5, what it means is your fasting sugar level is likely to be only in the 80s and 90s. That's what it means. So
Well, I can only tell you what I'm testing out at.
Yeah. So I'm surprised how you're getting 130 sometimes. But more important than the sugar levels, I would think, is the hemoglobin A1C. It reflects the long-term control of the diabetes. If it's at the 5.5 range, you're extremely healthy and protective of your heart.
Good.
So in that situation, probably that's why your doctor decided you don't need your diabetic medications.
Right.
So don't worry too much about the postprandial numbers. If you are able to find confidence in staying hungry with positivity, with plenty of water, and like Jayashree was saying, if you can keep smiling and doing your day-to-day stuff with little more extended hours of being hungry through the day, that will keep resetting your, what should I say, glucose tolerability in the body, insulin sensitivity, resistance levels, all these things downshifting. So that is, I believe, one of the best parameters of metabolic aging. So you told us you're now in your 50s or 60s?
65.
65. You continue with our program, 14 hours overnight fasting every night. And 1 day a week, go all the way up to 20, 24, 30, maybe even 36 hours. Okay? Try what you can. Up from 15 hours to 36 hours, everything is a bonus. So once a week, if you can do a little more, keep confident and smile. And as long as your sugar levels are okay, energy level is okay, do it once a week. And I believe in the next 5 years, you can start genuinely looking at celebrating your 45th or 50th birthday, 5 years from today. That is where you're headed. And that is not based on any wishful thinking. It is based on so many of our patients doing so well. And that's what I expect will happen for you in 2025.
Great. Great.
You keep in touch with me, even if these programs we don't plan as we did in the last 5 years in the COVID world, how things are going to be. I'm not absolutely sure, but hopefully we'll keep these sessions at least in few month intervals. But either way, stay in touch. You have my email, my contact information. You're most welcome to update me on how things are going for you. Because 3 years later, we want your graph to be one of our success stories.
Great. Now, I have one other question for you,
Yes.
because I experienced one time, since I've been kind of messing with this, where I got cold. And I know that that can mean that your metabolism is kind of shutting down. And I've experienced that in the past from regular dieting and dieting and dieting. So anyway, having said that, without calorie counting, how do you know you're staying in the range of calories you need?
So you're asking, you mentioned, I guess, about feeling cold, right?
Yes.
On a day that you wouldn't expect to be cold, you felt cold and like shivers. Yes? So what that means is counter-regulatory hormones are kicking in. Your body is finding there is no reserves in your stomach because you're not giving food. It's going to the liver and finding that the glucose in the liver stores, they are also being depleted. That's when the body is finding it a challenge to maintain its temperature. That temperature has to be maintained for every body function to continue normally. So how is it getting the temperature back up when there is not enough metabolic energy fuel? It is then starting to go into this counter-regulatory hormones are used to start burning the fat in the body. So that is a good sign that you're moving into fat metabolism. It's not very pleasant because you'll feel cold, little lack of energy, little bit of dizziness maybe, or feeling pain. You really wish you had food and you'd never listened to Anand in the first place. So that'll last for a few minutes. But with that shivering, that body temperature comes up and that counter-regulatory hormones will stabilize. I'm requesting everyone to mute your mics. We are hearing more static that will make it difficult for people to follow.
ये क्या बना रहे हो?
So I think I muted everyone now. So what was I saying about this cold? That sensation of cold is a normal thing to expect. And
that doesn't mean my metabolism is slowing down, though.
it does, because part of the counter regulation to not giving the body food is the metabolism slowing. So that is the actual challenge when people try intermittent fasting. If you look at the literature on it in the last 10 years, you will see that people eat a little more before the fast, eat a little more after the fast, and during the fast, their metabolic rate slows down. So the end of a couple of weeks, they've not been able to lose weight. So that's why we don't stop with intermittent fasting alone. We bring in fasting on an everyday basis, 14 hours overnight. And then we say, keep this more, I would say, flexible, not just one particular day, random day of the week. Go without food for maybe 15, 20, 24, 36 hours with that smile. That smile actually is the thing that breaks from the counter regulation. And it says, okay, this person is not putting food into me, but despite me telling that body needs energy, she's still smiling. Okay, then I have to reset, not only lowering the metabolic rate, but also start using the reserve energy that is stored in the form of fat. So all this messaging is to our body and to our subconscious also when we try to drink the water, smile, and keep moving through our day, and even trying exercise in the fasted state. So all this physiologically, our grandparents, our ancestors have been doing for 100 years, 1,000 years, million years. That is how we have evolved. Now we are doing it with our conscious willpower. That is the only difference. Nature did not afford this much food and luxury of eating by the clock. Only now in the last few hundred years we have that luxury. So now we are trying to live, I would say, a more natural way of life by doing this. So when the metabolic rate goes down a little bit, that is actually one of the best things that can happen to the heart health. It actually reduces inflammation also. I don't know of anything else that reduces inflammation throughout our systems rather than fasting. And that also works through reducing metabolic rate, which is okay. What people may say is, I'm losing first 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 10 kilograms. After that, in the last so many months, I've not been able to continue to lose weight, although I do intermittent fasting. So that what I would say, that resistance point we may reach. And after that, how to advance further requires little more self-inquiry, little more connection with our body, and then continuing in that journey where we connect more with the hunger rather than with that fasting interval. Once we tune the body to continue performing being hungry, then that weight reduction process can be pursued even in a much longer term with optimal health without losing any energy. Make sense? You
Yes.
don't see, because you're diabetic, you have all the tools, you're checking your sugar levels. Many of my patients who are not yet diabetic have had extremely good success without having to check it. And once you check and you recognize the hypoglycemia, we need you to recognize that coldness, shivering, all that is part of that hypoglycemia. If you ignore that, if you are a diabetic on insulin, it can be life threatening. So we have to be extremely careful. So that's why we recommend high level of caution and frequent sugar level checking in insulin requiring diabetics. Type 1 diabetics, we don't even recommend fasting. Only for
Okay.
type 2 diabetics. Fortunately, 9 out of 10 diabetics are type 2 diabetics. Even if you are on insulin, being a type 2 diabetic, you can slowly, gradually, safely incorporate these mindfulness methods of mind body connection, and that way you start the fasting. After you learn the mind body connection, then the fasting will be safe. Make sense?
Yes. And then my last question is,
Uh-huh.
I don't feel hunger. More often than not, my stomach never growls. I just don't get to that point. And even now, there's been an occasion that I felt a growl here and there, and then I just use the smile and go, grateful hunger,
Mm-hmm.
grateful hunger, and so I'm trying to incorporate that along with. So
So what was your
thank
question?
you
I didn't
again for
catch
the
the question.
program, Doctor.
What was your question?
Is that normal not to feel hunger?
This is the freedom that this process has given you. It is not normal for 9,999 people. So you are in the 1,000th category where you are able to recognize a deeper mind body connection. That's why you're able to continue to smile despite the fast. So, my only suggestion to you is ensure that your energy level doesn't dip. For that, you will have to ensure you get good micronutrients from fruits, vegetables, some nuts, healthy fats like avocado, and basically healthy things, whole foods. But beyond that, empty sugars, if you can keep cutting down, and you can continue this journey until you reach whichever health and weight goal that you want to reach. So there is no a particular reason that you'll have to put some food in your body at this point. As long as your energy level is reasonably good, you're doing amazingly well. Congratulations, and keep smiling. Keep in touch. Tell me how things are moving for you. Okay? Excellent. I'm so happy. Two good stories, one from India, one from here, Missouri. Anybody else with questions? Any particular stories you'd like to share?
Anand,
Yes. Thanks for joining there.
good, nice. Now I want to ask you, suppose if you fast 36 hours, what is the blood sugar in the 36 hours fasting one? Did you check your blood sugar?
I've not checked. I don't poke myself that often, but I've done this fast and I feel it should probably be in the 80s, 90s sugar level.
Okay.
because of the
Any chance
counter-regulatory
for
hormone.
it to go for hypoglycemia, 70,
It would
60
have.
like that?
That in the first 12 hours, sugar level will not drop. Because first 4 hours we have food in the stomach. Next 6 to 12 hours we have glycogen stores that are coming in from the liver that maintain the sugar levels. So at about 12 to 15 hours of the fast is when uh, natural ketosis sets in, where the counter-regulatory hormones we talked about kick in. That is when we will feel the most urge for food, a little tiredness, dizziness, and shivering, cold, all these sensations. So that is when the counter-regulatory hormones kick in. And once fat metabolism starts, that will still continue to maintain adequate glucose levels in circulation. And that can go on for several days. We don't recommend uh, our program beyond 36 hours. That is what we stop at. So that we don't need to plan for refeeding. If you continue the fast for 2 days, 5 days, 10 days, people have done that. I'm going to show you some slides about that also today. But that you need very programmed refeeding process. Up to 36 hours, we can resume with mostly our routine diet will be in good shape.
Now, what I suggest, Anand, why don't you take a pilot study like that, normal individuals, after 36 years voluntarily, how the blood sugar is?
Yeah, there are plenty of
Why am
studies
I?
available. We have.
How is that one? It's not never going for hypoglycemia.
It does. It goes in the 12, 14 hours itself, it goes into hypoglycemia. But after that, it comes back up because of counter regulation. And it will stay up for a week, 10 days, 2 weeks. They say even up to 40 days, it will stay up. Sugar levels will not dip.
My
Except if
question
you are
is,
insulin requiring type 1 diabetic. Or if you're
no, what?
already malnourished, in that case, if you don't have fat stores in the
No,
body,
those
the
things
sugar
are
levels
very
cannot be
clear.
repleted. So healthy people
Now,
who have normal fat reserves, they are able to go into natural ketosis and maintain homeostasis. That means sufficient glucose levels despite not eating beyond the 12th hour.
what I'm saying that 12 to 14 hours, the hypoglycemia, I mean, glucose, how low it goes down? Is it 80, 70 or
It will go
normal or
probably
lower
into the
level?
60s, maybe 40s, 50s, depending on the individual, how quickly their counter regulation happens. And
No,
once it,
no, no, I want a very specific question.
uh-huh.
Then in that case, normal individuals at 14 hours fasting, I want that reality, how much it is. It is at lower limit of normal or really it goes for hypoglycemia. How will you define hypoglycemia less than 70 or 80 or 60?
Probably around 60 is where it will start kicking in the counter regulatory hormones. I don't know the exact
60.
numbers when it kicks in. And again, that will also change depending on our individual tolerance, not like temperature. Glucose level is a little more fluctuant. So probably
Now
around
another question.
60, 50, that range, they'll feel the sensation what we just heard her discuss in her 15th hour of fasting. So that little bit of coldness, tiredness, and then once the counter-regulatory kicks in, people are generally okay.
How many minutes does it take for counter regulatory to bring up the sugar to 110 like that after
See,
fasting?
again,
You
this
mean?
will vary based on individuals. People who are trying this for the first time, for me, it lasted, I would say, uh, half an hour, 1 hour. I will feel a little tired. This is 2 years ago. Now it lasts maybe only 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes, 2 minutes, and it's transient. I continue whatever I'm doing, and it just I can recognize okay that a shift is happening. Like that, I recognize that. So because it's your body knows how to move into that more naturally.
So that Latin, I mean, that interval of this counter-regulatory bringing up, will it not be sensitive to the heart rhythm or electrical activity of the heart itself? Suppose if it is 70, 60, it takes little more time for you, for initially you said 2 hours. By the time anything may happen to the heart rhythm, how can we assure that even normal individuals?
See, beyond this point, there is not that much science. We are only speculating. But the simplest thing I think is we are naturally selected. We are extremely resilient creatures. I'm making that proclamation based on us being alive in 2020. That what I'm trying to say is we have evolved for the last 100,000 years, despite these natural challenges to food supply. So I believe our body can very easily withstand that lack of extraneous food, and it actually helps in the big picture. Whether there
But
may
they
be some
say,
premature atrial contraction, 1 or 2 PVCs, it is hard to say because electrolyte levels may also fluctuate. We may need 100,000 patients to be tested or with fasting when they turn into natural ketosis, what arrhythmia happens, things like that. If we test, we may catch a few arrhythmia. I'm not sure. But I've not felt any palpitation and I've not seen that described in the literature also.
another question in Tamil, I don't know whether you remember, Anand, many may not be hearing that, knowing that. Pasi vandal pattum parandividam. The moment you become hungry, what they said, pattum parandividam, your patience, all the positive thoughts will go off. Pattum parandividam is your patience, your assessing good things, or all the things. Pattum parandividam என்பது, that they will lose all the things of positive one. That's what that our ancestors' proverb says.
Let me
Pasi
clarify
vandal.
this because my dad is been doing this wellness work from India and he's joined us today. And what he is saying from India is if you're hungry, you will forget all 10 things that are in your mind. But I think the real, as an experience of being a person practicing fasting for the last 2, 3 years, what I can tell you, the interpretation of that wording is the 10 things that you forget are all the negativities in your life. You are only left with positivity once you fast. But first couple of times you may feel that lack of confidence that you may have a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of edginess, nervousness. But again, this is very different from starving. When we are starving, then our animal instincts may come in. We may want to steal or hurt somebody to get food. But fasting is very different from starving. In India, we have practiced this for more than 5,000 years with only success, I would say. And it doesn't make us forget the good things. It only makes us more, I would say, whole as human beings. That's why people who fast repeatedly say they feel more energetic. Once you're energetic, it is
Doctor,
used only.
doctor, this is for the senior doctor. Doctor, this is Pasi Vandal Pattum Parandu Pogum is ideally for the people where, you know, Pasi Vande Sapad Kadeka, the Alekdan, they say everything disappears, you know. Whatever is their education, whatever they've learned, their manam, their everything is goes. That proverb was connected to somebody who's starving.
Another thing,
And
what
Dr.
I was
Anand, one
thinking,
question. What do you eat to break a fast? What is healthy or appropriate to eat when you break a fast?
Good. So we are nearing the end of our session today. I haven't finished my slides. So let me take another 5-10 minutes to finish what slides I have, and then I'll answer your question.
Doctor, thank you.
And we want
Yeah.
to close the whole session before the end of the hour. So your question was how to break the fast, right? Keep that thought in mind. So today, what I quickly wanted to highlight is, so this we already saw what we're going to discuss in the next 2 months. So this is what we presented last week. How exercise, awareness, smile experience, the flow experience itself, how it can help cardiac patients. I discussed this at our annual national, actually I would say international rehab conference. This was virtual last week, and people were very interested in seeing how cardiac patients can safely not only do physical exercise but also engage in sports and not just do sports, find that ownership for it. So that's what we discussed. We'll come back to this topic again, hopefully next week when we discuss this. So this I just wanted to show you. For the last 15 years that I've been practicing, every year we are invited to give a cardiology grand rounds. So we talk about things that we are doing research on and we cover the latest available evidence. In 2006, I talked about how atherosclerosis causes a heart attack. What causes specifically within few minutes for that plaque to rupture and how to understand the mechanisms behind it. Then I talked about heart getting stiffer due to so many reasons. Aging is the commonest factor. But now, unfortunately, even more important than aging may be poor lifestyle and excess body weight. Then we talked about how we can grow cardiac rehabilitation as a program at patients' own homes and using more tailored aspects of it. And this we've been targeting for the last 10 years since 2011 cardiology discussions. Then in 2013, we talked about already can we aim at reaching flow level of optimal exercise. Then we talked about how we can combine all these concepts as a holistic cardiac rehabilitation and prevention program. This we did in 2015, and that's when we actually formally started the Heartful Living clinics. And now in 2019, last year, we discussed about moving exercise beyond the traditional limits. So not only going into flow, trying to do high intensity interval training and resistance and weight training, despite having heart disease and heart failure, and the safety of doing it and the long-term benefits. So these are the things that I've been discussing with our cardiology group here, our fellows, trainees, our faculty, as our research and academic presentations. So this we discussed in June about how uh, cardiovascular risk and the cancer risk and diabetes risk comes down in the red group, which is 30% calorie restricted. This is the story the monkeys are telling us. The monkey on the left side looks its normal age, whereas on the right side, it just did not age. It stayed young, despite chronologically being the same age as the one on the left side. It physically was more fit, exercising, more energetic, and without the risk of cancer, diabetes in this group of monkeys. This is 10 years ago, this was published. Then last year, we got this publication in human beings by doing 20% calorie restriction, 25% calorie restriction for 2 years. Healthy 35-year-olds, metabolically, cardiovascularly, they became like 20-year-olds. This was also published in very reputed program last year. So this I visited probably about 5, 6 years ago. This is a Dan Abraham Healthy Living Center, which is a beautiful cardiac prevention program, yeah, at Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. I went and saw this to see what we can bring to Mizzou here in Columbia, Missouri, and incorporate. The reality is this was through huge donations, and even now I'm not sure how much they are able to turn a profit, especially in this COVID world. But establishing such a huge center just for prevention shows how much importance at Mayo Clinic, which is the apex cardiac center in the world, they are emphasizing prevention. This is another program I've been hoping to visit for the last 2 years. This summer, I actually got the tickets before the COVID epidemic started. So still, I haven't physically gone there to see how they do it. But there are programs like this in Florida also, but this one is in San Francisco area where they have like a hotel accommodation. You can see the pricing and all that. But bottom line, they are able to help patients overcome so many health issues just by water fasting, which means for 2 days, 5 days, 10 days, even up to 40 days, that people can come, stay there, experience a lot of education, but mostly physician supervised water fasting. It means only water they drink and find their blood pressure drops 30 millimeters mercury. Their weight obviously will go down if you don't put food in the body, but they learn how to do this with physician supervision. So similar to that, we have already done without having a center, without having a water fasting program. We've shown so many people have gained the same health benefits and maybe even more. And most importantly, people have gained the confidence that they can continue in this without any supervision of physicians. That's what has been our success. So now, if you see at the right end, assuming that is my patient, how can we move this not only to his wife, but to his children and maybe even his grandchildren? So that is the real question in 2020. Because we've seen so much success in the last 5 years, what we are initiating this summer is a self-inquiry based multi-generational involvement in lifestyle enhancement, the SMILE program. This, I would say, is the next level of prevention where from the patient we are moving not only towards their friends and family, which we've already enrolled in the last 5 years, because we know it's not an individual effort. People have to participate with their support groups. That's why we've invited families. But now we are inviting children and grandchildren to participate in our webinars sessions. So you're welcome to bring your family. Anybody above the age of 10 years, I believe they can follow along with these simple discussions and learn these things when they are forming their psyche, when they are forming their habits. So children above the age of 10 are most welcome from next Monday's session. Next Monday would be October 19th. So this is the most recent cardiology grand rounds from September. So I presented how Smile might not only help our heart patients, but their children and grandchildren reduce the aging related complications, heart disease, diabetes, arthritis. Not only that, even cancer and dementia can be reduced through participation in our wellness program. So I finally believe as a clinician, I can help in primordial prevention, which is reducing heart attacks, not by putting stents in the heart, but by changing risk factors and even avoiding the onset of risk factors in adolescents and young adults. So this is one of the patients who has, if you look at this graph, on the x-axis you see the time scale from 2016, 2017, 2018. The weight has been more or less constant until 2018. And in the last 2 years, this individual, who is 59 years old now, has improved tremendously. Her weight has come down, I would say, by 67 pounds in 3 years through calorie restriction. The important thing is, in 2018, she had a stiff heart, diastolic heart failure, and she had secondary liver changes also. When we repeat these ultrasounds on the heart, echocardiograms on the heart, and ultrasound in the liver, we are seeing the cirrhosis is improved, her heart failure has stabilized, her heart stiffness has improved. This we don't see in the literature yet. So we have to publish these cases to make other doctors aware that even heart aging biologically can be stopped and reversed. This has been my research for the last 10 years, but now we are seeing it in patient stories. And now in 2020, in the COVID world, when I talk to her, she says, losing the last 67 pounds has made me healthy. Losing the next 67 pounds is going to be fun. This is her goal and her proclamation. So she says, in the next 2, 3 years, I'll get there, doc. You trust me. So I say, definitely you'll do that. So this is our patient. This is another patient, the same x-axis. You see a time scale of last 15 years. So this patient, unfortunately, at the age of 65, was morbidly obese, and she had numerous health conditions, including heart failure and leaky valves, which would have taken her life. But she went on, uh, I would say, holistic living, and she has lost a ton of weight, 100 pounds in the last 10 years. And in the last 2 years alone, she has lost 25 pounds. And now, finally, heart function has improved, the leaky valve has gotten better. And this, which was not compatible with even being alive at the age of 65, now at 80 years, she is genuinely looking forward to celebrating her 100th birthday. So this is all real people experiencing health, wellness, stopping aging, not only stopping aging, actually this is radical reversal of aging. Now she's not feeling like she was ill at the age of 65. At 80, she's feeling like a 40 or a 50-year-old. So that is what is the potential of self-inquiry. That is what our invitation to you today is. So you enlist 10 people in your friends circle, in your family, track it through our HiLife, or you track it through whichever tool you choose. But in our website, we have sufficient capacity to help you track it as a diary online. And cardiovascular screening and holistic living, all these are the benefits. This we've already talked about. Better immunity against COVID. Fasting helps you cope with diabetes. A lot of our patients give up diabetes medicines. Any amount of weight reduction is possible. That is what my patients have taught me. I thought 5 pound, 10 pound 15-pound weight reduction to protect your heart is what I went to my heart patients with this program. They are saying there is no limit to how much weight I can lose through self-inquiry. Heart health, obviously, reversing atherosclerosis, cancer risk reduction comes. And then this is what I presented to cardiology colleagues. I'm inviting my colleagues that they can prevent stenting, heal atherosclerosis, reduce diabetes and hypertension, and cut back 9 out of 10 cardiac medications, stop and reverse aging, make not only our patients but their families healthier through hunger and gratitude experience. When you combine this with self-inquiry, we have benefit of reducing risk of depression, anxiety, improving compliance with anything else our patients set their mind at. It might be smoking cessation, it may be whatever else they want to do. And ultimately, how you relate and trust people in your life improves so much. So this is where the altruism compassion experience cements the meaning in life. So in 2006, we've been talking about the mind and heart. By 2010, we realized we can reverse diastolic cardiac stiffness, that is aging and weight related. By 2012, we started our home cardiac rehab program. 2015, we started the formal Heartful Living Clinics, which you are now a part of. And 2020, our new step is the SMILE program, where we want to involve your children, grandchildren in this program. And 2022, we want to do this as a formal holistic wellness program at MU. And in 2024, 4 years from today, we'll have hopefully a online self-inquiry consciousness center here. And at the VA also simultaneously for veterans, we are expanding these programs. So there is no limit to how much we can take this. Blue zones are currently in corners of the world which are living very, I would say, primitive or lack of advanced technologies type of lifestyle. But I'm saying, despite us living in advanced societies in India, Europe, in the US, we can still get the complete benefit of holistic living through self-inquiry. That is what is our hope and goal in the next 5 years. So we need your support, your health, your energy, and your stories to get this message to more people who can use our help. Thanks so much. So the question that was asked was how to break the fast. Like you start the fast, break the fast also with a glass of water, a little more smile. And then I personally break my fast with a banana. I don't know. Naturally, when all the good food is at home and I'm breaking the fast, I find the banana coats the stomach maybe. That's why I go to it naturally. And after that, you can, within 5-10 minutes, you'll feel better. In the sense, you'll feel more hungry. That's what when I say you'll feel better. And then you can start eating more nutritious things, less cooked, I would say, fruits, vegetables, and multigrain bread or rice, things like that. You can break it with whatever you're comfortable with. Quantity, I would say, slowly spend more time with the food. Don't gulp the food down. And this is how I break my fast 24 or 36 hours. More fruits, specifically banana is what I go to. And I think most of the food that you practice with and you enjoy after the 14-hour fast should be healthy at the end of the 24 or 36 hours.
Thank you, Doctor.
Excellent. The last 2 minutes, any other quick questions before we break up? You'll have to unmute yourself. Last 1 or 2 minutes before we close the session today. Next Monday, we are not meeting. The Monday after, same time, we will meet. 8:30 p.m. in India, October 19th, and 10 a.m. here in the US, Central Time.
No, Anand. Yes, see, really great your interest, and I really appreciate. And as you are undergoing that, keeping the study going on, make some classes of the research also. What I asked you initially, keep that one. And we can even put them on some monitoring like that. What is the behavior of the heart at that time? few cases is enough as a sample study like that, because you are going to take up for a greater level. Many may ask you these things. Also keep in your mind. Really keep questioning yourself to make it a best answer. And only one important thing is we have been quoting all the time our ancestors millions of years. The millions years of our genes are at passage of time, they are imprinted for a particular time and our life. Because I lived, I want to live like them is impossible. So how your body genetically tuned to your present, how are going to break that genetic coding of that one and make that one possible what they lived it, it's not a simple thing. So one must be extremely cautious. Our body is tuned to our genetic imprints of today's environment or one or two generations or your life itself. So all the things keep in your mind, keep studying. It will be a very great scope for in the future. I really appreciate honor.
Excellent. Any other last minute questions? Otherwise, we'll call this to a close and we'll see you back in 2 weeks from today. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye.
Thank you, doctor. Bye.